Hello everyone, this is a tutorial on how to make a foam helmet like this one. If you're interested, keep watching. To start this process, I cover my head in Saran Wrap all over the back of the head and the neck, anywhere that will be taped, so that it doesn't stick to any of my skin or my hair, anywhere else the tape isn't supposed to be. This specific character has her helmet covering part of her face. So I have to put Saran Wrap there also, being sure that I don't tape over my nose or eyes. Here I'm cutting out strips of tape and starting at the top of my head. I'm placing them snug but not tight and as even as possible while still keeping them flat so that it's a better fit and easier pattern later. I'm being sure to cover all the Saran Wrap parts around my head, especially the back. Since I can't see much of it, I get a little bit of help. Here I start the front. I cut smaller strips and I start around my eyes, little by little, not a rushed process, and making sure all holes are covered and it's snug against my face for the best fit. More small strips for the details around the eyes and the cheekbone. This specific character has a lot of coverage on her helmet, so I needed to cover parts of the chin also. For coverage, I just added a little more Saran Wrap to the needed area and taped it in place with the duct tape. After all the taping's done, I start to draw down the needed lines for cutting. I draw down the center of my head, between my eyes, all the way around to the back in a U shape. I do all of this with a lighter marker first, and then I go in with a darker marker for all of the dominant lines and any details that are involved in that specific character's look. I even draw the general shape of how I want the eyes to look and around my hairline, where the mask will end around my neck, and just making sure that all of the lines are being put on before I take the duct tape version off of myself. After drawing on all the details, it is time to take the mask off. Be very careful when doing this process. I prefer to do it from the front, and I cut where the neck is and I trim the nose. It gets very hot inside of there, so keep a towel handy because there will be some sweating. And now you have your duct tape pattern. What you're going to do is you're going to cut straight down the middle, the line that you had created. You start trimming down all of the details that you drew on, and you cut the curve of the side of your head. That will be the primary pattern. I did some darts on the top so that it would curve a little better. And now I start to make it out of some EVA foam. I pin the pattern down exactly the way it is, and then I will start to draw around it with a black Sharpie. I pin the pattern all the way around just to make sure that it stays in place the entire time. When drawing the pattern, be sure to get every little detail and every dart that you had made. It is needed for when building the helmet. You will do this 2 times, one for one side, and then you're going to turn it over and you're going to do a pattern of the other side so that you have both. Then I started cutting it out with a box cutter. I made sure that I put a cutting pad underneath so I didn't scratch my surface, and I go right around it. Here I cut out every dart and line as straight as possible and as clean as possible, so it makes it easier to put the build together later. Once all the cutting's done, it's time to take the heat gun and heat and shape all of the foam. I started with the top of the helmet, which is where most of the curvature of your head is. I heated it up, I took my fingers, stretched out some of the center, and then I take my fist and try to round it out as much as possible. I do the same with the front of the forehead, and I try to curve it in general to a U-ish shape. And then start with the cheekbone. It's the same thing there. I try to curve it as much as possible so it's a better fit for me. After that, I just try and shape the nose and chin as much as possible before the tusk fitting. You can see I'm just trying to curve it as it would fit someone's face. And then I start hot gluing it together. You'll have the option of hot glue or cement gluing here. I didn't have cement glue at the time, and hot glue works just as well. Now I glue every dart and seam together. I started with the smaller pieces around the top of the head and then the cheekbone. Now I'm gluing the larger piece on the side of the head, and I will do the same with the other piece before we glue them together. Once the two side pieces are glued separately, it's time to start putting them together. I started at the chin. I glued the smaller pieces together, and then I made my way to the top with the bridge of the nose, as you can see here, and then little by little the entire center of the helmet. That is the general idea for now, and here is me trying it on. I have to trim a little off the back. That's where I'll be placing the zipper and or other method of keeping it together later. Here I start to correct some of the details. You can see me drawing on how I want the eye holes to look and making sure that it fits. I'm drawing on some of the other details of the helmet now so I can start to cut them out before heating and shaping the entire face. Once I was done drawing all of the details the way I wanted it, I started to cut them out. Next, we take the heat gun again. I start shaping around the eyes and the nose and the cheekbones. It's hard to explain what I did here, so I'm hoping watching it in the video will help. It's just making everything to fit better on my face, to fit a little more realistic than it looked before. For pieces like the eyebrows, I try to push with my finger while it's heated to make it a little more defined. I try and curve in the nose so that it fits a little closer to the face, and I try to curve out the top of the cheekbones. As you can see, I'm gluing the bridge of the nose and the inside a little bit so that it would stay more of a V shape. Like I said, a little bit of this is a little hard to explain, so I hope watching me do most of it helps. Once all of the heating and shaping is said and done, it's time to put on the helmet again. I was happy with the fit after all of this. If you're not, you can just remove the helmet again and just heat and shape some more until you're happy. I hope watching me make this helmet helped you or helps you in the future. I want to thank you all for watching.